like really aggressive. I was getting really mad.
Oh my God.
Just in this one general area. And like, I don't know what it was. Walked away about 20 feet. I was perfectly fine. Went back to that area. I felt it again. And I remember I did a Facebook Live. And this was the second time I went. I went with one of my good friends and my cousin. And we were at one end of the hallway. There was a group in the middle part of the hall, and there was another group at the end. And we hear like this loud, like blood-curdling scream. I was like, it's got to be one of those other groups, like freaking out.
Right.
We go to the second group. They're like, yeah, we heard that too, but it wasn't us. It had to be the other people. We go down there. They said it wasn't them. And we went back and watched the Facebook Live, and you can hear it like it's right beside us.
What?
And it was insane. And none of us had screamed.
Wow.
If you go there and believe in the paranormal, I don't think you'll leave disappointed.
So it lives up to the hype.
I believe so, yeah.
Wow.
All right. Well, now, Josh, I want to go back to the first question. Do you feel like you've brought anything home with you?
Well, it's one of those kind of like yes and no questions.
Okay.
So after we done the Octagon Hall, we started noticing some different things happening here at the house. And we've never had anything go on paranormal wise here.
Mm-hmm.
But like literally probably a week after that investigation, at any point in time during the night, I could get up and go in the bathroom and all of our cabinet doors would be open.
Ooh.
Wow.
My youngest son, one of his friends had stayed over one night not long after we had came back from there. And he said whenever he opened up the bedroom door, he saw a tall man standing in the hallway. Scared him so bad he ran back in the bedroom.
I bet.
And of course, my youngest son just told him, it was probably me. It wasn't. But those things we had never really had go on here until after we went to Octagon Hall.
Wow.
Myself and my youngest son, we smell cigarette smoke periodically throughout the day. Now, I do smoke, but we don't smoke inside the house, never inside the house.
Right.
But the smell of the smoke is so strong, it's almost like someone is standing right beside you smoking. And it's not just in the house. Whenever we get in the car and go to town, there's occasions that it's almost like I can smell somebody smoking in the back seat of the car.
Ooh, but like no one is actually smoking.
Correct.
Oh.
So those are the only things that's really changed since I went on any of the investigations we've been on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only thing that I can coincide with that change. Was it started after we went to Octagon Hall.
It definitely sounds like something happened, like something might have followed you.
Yeah, and I mean, that's one of the risks you take in doing some of these things is we ask a lot of questions. We try to get extremely personal with the spirits, trying to figure anything out, who they are, maybe what happened to them that caused their death, anything. So we're asking a ton of questions. And there are times that you take a risk on getting an attachment. Even though, we do prayer and blessings and things like that after the investigations, it's still a risk you're taking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I got to ask you the same question because I'm a super fan of Waverly Hills. So I'm going to ask you the same question. What's it like? What was it like for you the first time you went there? Does it live up to the hype?
Well, see, now I have not been to Waverly Hills.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Whenever Damion was fortunate enough to go, I was never able to get off from work to go with him. So I have not had that experience yet.
Well, you'll have to let us know.
I hope you are able to do so.
Yeah, you'll have to let us know. I have such like I don't know. I'm like obsessed with it. I think Waverly Hills is like the coolest place.
It is. But
it definitely is one of those places. It's got a ton of history to it, and I just don't foresee going there and not coming out with anything because there is just there's too much that happened inside of that building.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So how do your families feel about what you do?
Well, like I said, my wife's part of the team, so she's obviously very supportive of it.
Yeah.
Most of my actual family, like my parents, my sister, they're all supportive. They think it's cool that we're doing this.
Like, yeah.
I mean, my mom even talks at times. She still wants to go with us on an investigation. She's mentioned that numerous times.
That's super cool.
So my side of the family is pretty supportive about it. So
Yeah.
How
Well,
about you,
that's
Josh?
awesome.
Well, of course, there again, my wife goes with us quite a bit,
Okay.
and my sons they think it's cool, but they're not really ready to just dive off into it yet.
Yeah.
They keep saying they want to until it comes time to go, and then they're like,
yeah,
never
we
mind.
experienced that 2 weeks ago with JD.
Yeah, with my oldest. He was all about going until it was time to go, and then he kind of backed out.
He's like, no, maybe not.
I mean, if you're a kid, it's kind of scary though, because
Yeah.
you never if you've never done it, what is it like? The most of what you know visually is like what you see online, and that doesn't really doesn't look appealing. All right.
Well, and it's just it though. Is even for an adult, there's still that level of fear.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody says. I mean, I'm not easily frightened by anything, but there are still times that you get those certain chills and feelings, and then certain things happen, and you're going to be fearful a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. So let me ask you, your investigation style, would you guys say you're like, are you going in with a lot of tech stuff or yourselves? Like what's the method of your investigations and like moving forward? What do you think they're going to be like? Do you guys have like a lot of investigation tools and stuff like that? Like, how do you do it?
When we first started, we didn't have anything equipment wise. We had a camcorder and a digital recorder. That's all we had, and we went to Brushy Mountain. As time's progressed, we've gotten more equipment. We have more video cameras, more digital recorders. We got our first REM pod not that long ago.
Nice.
And then we got 4 or 5 EMF detectors, and we have some other stuff we want to get. It's just getting the money up to get it.
Oh,
Yeah,
more
or
slowly
less.
piecing it together, though. I mean,
it gets expensive.
yeah.
And then I think we all kind of have our senses about stuff. We kind of, especially Josh and my wife, they can kind of sense when there's something in the room, as to where I normally can't. But once they kind of mention it, I'm like, okay, I think you're right. I'm kind of feeling that once you've mentioned it, but they sense it more than I do.
Right.
So,
All right, so building off of that, of all the equipment, when you do go out, what to each of you, whoever wants to go first, but what's your favorite investigation tool, and do you find that certain things tend to be a bit more accurate than other things?
I'd say right now the REM pod is probably the best piece we have.
Okay.
yeah.
It always seems
And
like
we just got to
coolest.
officially use it 2 weeks ago, but I've used it here in my house, and it'll go off where we'll set it up in our bedroom, and we'll be in the living room watching TV, and the thing will start going crazy, and we know there's nobody in there.
Wow.
We got to get one.
So do you have activity at your home?
Oh yeah, we have. I wouldn't say we have stuff happening all the time, but we at least a couple of times a week we'll hear knocking on the wall. We hear somebody walking through the hall, and we'll check the cameras. Everybody be in bed.
Wow.
We've actually had stuff knocked off our wall.
Nope.
My wife experienced that. It really freaked her out because she was home by herself. Something knocked one of our pictures off the wall.
Ugh.
I tested it out when I got home. The nail had never shifted. I pounded and pounded and pounded on the wall.
Yeah.
It never vibrated off. So I mean, we have like small stuff happening. It's nothing to the point where okay, we gotta leave now. But we tend to have little things here and there going on. So
That's crazy.
Now we have stuff in our house, and I'm like this weird like mix. Like I love the paranormal, I just don't want it at my house.
Right.
I can't seem to get away from it everywhere I move.
I know.
So if you use the REM pod a lot, You agree, Josh? Like that's also your favorite piece?
Yeah, REM pod, and probably the next best thing is your own hearing, being able to hear what is going on.
Yeah.
Well,
Because usually whenever that REM pod starts going off, we've probably already started hearing something, whether footsteps in the room or something that goes in conjunction with that going off. It all kind of just pieces itself together.
Yeah, because we did get to use one back in October, and like you said, anytime it would go off, like right then we would start hearing something, or we'd see something out of the corner of our eye. So,
okay, well, along the lines of that, I kind of want to ask one more question along that, because I'm like in this weird state where I don't know how I feel about like psychics and mediums. Like, I believe some people do have certain. I don't know. I feel like more people are open, but do you guys do you guys feel like either one of you guys are in that realm of like an empath or a medium or like psychic or whatever you want to call it? Do you guys have anybody or anybody on your team that might fall within that?
I know I'm definitely not. Like I said, my wife, she's kind of a sensitive to some stuff. But she's kind of getting used to that as well, because she never really realized it, I guess, until we was probably at Octagon Hall. And so like she's kind of gotten sensitive to some stuff, and she'll hear stuff in the house that I won't hear, and I was like, I don't hear it.
Right.
So she's kind of opened herself up a little bit to that and kind of accepting that. But other than, I definitely don't see myself like any of that. So
Nice. What about you, Josh?
No, I'm pretty sensitive to certain things, but there again, even without some of the equipment kind of verifying some of the things, it's still, I think everything you hear, see, or feel is something on that paranormal part. So
Yeah.
I keep myself very skeptical on things just so I don't assume that everything I see, hear, or feel is connected paranormal. But there are certain times that I will pick up on a certain feeling before somebody else sees or hears something like that.
Yeah.
And so there's probably a lot of people that are more sensitive to it than what they really think.
I absolutely agree with that.
yep.
Yes, you do.
I do. So I have a question. What would be your like top 3 to 5 dream locations to go to?
Oh, hey, time out real quick. It's telling us that it might possibly end. If it does, we'll have to just start up another Zoom.
Okay,
Is
yeah,
there
I
a
see
time
that just
limit?
pop up a second ago too. So
I didn't know there was a time limit on these.
I didn't either.
Okay. If it ends, we'll just start another one.
all right. So for me personally, I want us all to get back to Waverly Hills, like the entire team. Gosh, so you put me on the spot.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
One of my tops is Trans Allegheny.
Ooh, nice.
That's one of my tops. I've always been really intrigued by that place. I've always been intrigued by the Villisca Axe Murder House.
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh gosh, the old Charleston jail in South Carolina. That one's always intrigued me. So that's probably some of my top ones I'd like to get to eventually.
Heck yeah. Trans Allegheny seems like it's up there.
Yeah.
It's up there as one of those places. How about you, Josh? Same question. 3 to 5 of your dream locations to hit.
One would definitely have to be the Bell Witch Cave in Adams, Tennessee. I definitely would love to get in there one time.
Yeah.
Such a good story.
The old main state penitentiary, the walls, spending time in and out of there as a kid, knowing a lot of its history. My dad worked